Hey guys, welcome back to another video. The international break is over and all that 𝙏𝙬𝙞𝙩𝙪 nostalgia that everyone's been doing on Twitter of all these compilations of videos. I'm sick of them. I've seen so many videos of footballers from 20 years ago. I want to focus on the here and now. Brentford got involved in it actually on Twitter. I actually noticed that. They've posted a video of Buemo and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, City play Brentford at the weekend. I've got the wonderful Dave Lane alongside me today from the Besotted podcast to talk about all things Manchester City versus Brentford. How are you doing, my friend? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, looking forward to the game at the weekend. It's always a nice reminder that we're at the top table when we get a chance to come up to the Etihad. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to a result similar to a couple of seasons ago rather than the other two.
Yeah, we don't talk about 2 seasons ago. We do actually. It's a weird season for us because we lost twice to you, but also won the treble. So it wasn't the worst thing in the end, you know. But of course, you've had a really good start to the season, Brentford, and they're a team that, you know, pretty much everyone respects these days for the quality that you've got. Obviously, Thomas Frank, one of the longest-serving managers in English football now. He's been Brentford for a while. 6 currently in the table, 2 victories out of 3 games, 1 loss, of course, but away at Liverpool. There's no shame in that at all. It's been an interesting start to the season, basically. But I want to go back before that, because obviously we're still relatively recent from the transfer window closing. What did you make of Brentford's summer? Obviously, the big departure was Ivan Toney. David Raya completed his move as well. You signed a few players as well. I'll be honest, I'd never heard of 𝙏𝙬𝙨𝙩𝙬𝙧 until you signed him. What was the mood amongst Brentford fans after the transfer window slammed shut, so to speak?
Well, I think we were kind of relieved, really. I mean, the Ivan Toney situation had hung over us for best part of, well, it's well over a year. You know, you think that the ban itself, he wasn't able to play the tail end of the previous season. Then he wasn't available for the start of last season up until, you know, just after Christmas. So it was all about Ivan, and too much of what's happened at our club over the last 2 seasons has been that, all about Ivan, and he was a distraction. We needed closure. He needed to move on. And it just went on and on to the last knockings of the window. Was he actually going to go to Saudi? Were Chelsea going to come in for him? All this nonsense, you know. So, Ivan Toney was brilliant for us. He scored the goals that took us up. Arguably, he scored most of the goals that kept us up, but you know, he wanted to move. We needed to get the money in for him. So yeah, I think the season was again about to be overshadowed. We have brought in his replacement, Igor Thiago, from Bruges. You know, Sepp van den Berg from Liverpool, Fabio Carvalho from Liverpool, Gustavo Nunes and Jayden Magoma. We've invested, you know, so we needed some money to come in. We didn't want to do what Forest had done, didn't want to do what, you know, Everton have done, and spent money before we got it. So our club is run really well, and you know, they have to practice what they preach. And we if Toney hadn't have gone this window, we probably might have had to sell Wissa. And we don't want to do that. You never want to sell players that want to stay. To keep the ones that don't want to be here. So it was good business and, you know, closure.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Even from the outside looking in, it felt like a bit of a circus, an Ivan Toney circus. And ultimately, you got good money from him. You know, he served you well, and you're not exactly currently, you know, flailing about without him as it currently stands. Your form looks pretty good. And what have you made of the new signings so far? Have any of them settled in or played much? Because obviously, I'm looking at the average ages there. I mean, 2 18-year-olds. Or the rest of them are all early 20s. I mean, it's obviously very early days, and Brentford are quite a patient club anyway with signings. Have any of them made an impact yet, or is it very much early days still?
It's really too early. It's been, you know, Carvalho and Van den Berg have had minutes, you know, just cameo appearances. None of them have started apart from, you know, Carabao Cup game at Colchester. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe not even this little window between, you know, your game and the next international break. They'll probably be blooded very slowly. There's a couple of exciting ones. You know, we're really excited to see some minutes out of Gustavo Nunes. His show reels from YouTube look phenomenal in Brazil. Doing it in the Premier League is a completely different, you know, kettle of fish. So,
Brazilian winger, exciting.
But
always.
Speed, skill, and direct running towards goal is going to scare any defender, no matter where you play. So, you know, when you play that kind of pressing game, and you play a lot of teams that kind of are going to come onto you, unlocking and getting behind is critical. So yeah, we're excited that he might provide the pace and the width that we've been missing since Benrahma, really.
When I was younger, like signing a player from on Championship Manager or Football Manager, whatever, from Gremio in particular, it was always exciting, you know. And you've got like a little 18-year-old winger there, a flying winger from Gremio. It's just there's nothing more exciting than signing a Brazilian wonder kid. I maintain that, other than an academy lad coming through. And I've always I said that when we signed Savinho as well in the summer. Like, it's just exciting signing Brazilian wingers because they come with, I don't know, there's a magic to it, isn't there? So fingers crossed he connects for you guys. And yeah, and obviously, like you got to play the long game, and you didn't really need a massive upheaval of your squad anyway, because it was only really Ivan Toney that moved on, looking at it, of any real stature. You know, obviously David Rayo's gone, but he was gone anyway already, basically. So yeah, it looks like a good summer. You've invested the money quite nicely, you know, not spent exorbitant amounts, you know, and you've still got you know, you only spent about 20 million in the end, which is not bad at all, you know, in net. So it looks like a decent start for you in the transfer market. And onto the season as well. What's your form been like so far? I'll run through the results for people who haven't heard how you've got on. Of course, I know you, last game out, you beat Southampton 3-1. You beat Colchester in the Carabao Cup to go through. You did lose to Liverpool away, but there's no shame in that. And you opened the season with a 2-1 victory against Crystal Palace. What's the mood from yourself and Brentford fans around the start to the season so far?
It's just always, you know, as a Brentford fan, as a fan of a club that's not used to, or still not quite used to being where we are, it's always a relief just to see you can win again. Just to remind yourself that it's just it's possible, you know. And then once you realise, yeah, I know,
you're a good side, yeah.
Yeah, I know that, but you know,
I know the feeling where you feel like the wheels could come off at any moment, kind of feeling, and it's like,
yeah,
I
know you don't want to take it for granted, and you don't want to be arrogant, and you don't want to start doing the teams like Palace. We should be beating teams like Southampton. You know, we've got to stay humble. So it's about getting points on the board and then kind of easing your way into the season again. You know, last season was a bit of a nightmare injury crisis wise, and a team like Brentford you can't not have Ivan Toney in your team for more than half of it. You can't have Brian Mbeumo missing as well. You can't have Wisa at the African Cup of Nations, and you can't lose Rico Henry, arguably the best left back in this division.
How's his fitness? Because I feel like he would be played for England if he stayed fit last season. Because
he did he literally shattered his knee. So he's slow. There's rumours that he's training on grass again. There was a game last week behind closed doors that he wasn't fit enough to play in the end. So it's not. I don't think it's imminent, and we can't expect too much of him. But yeah, he could have been in the the Euros in the summer. Yeah, it's a terrible waste of a talent. But that's football for you sometimes.
A year out, isn't it? Jenny, it's such a long time.
Yeah, it's the end of September at Newcastle, yeah.
Horrible, man. Hopefully he'll be back soon, because he's such a talent, as you said. And I think, honestly, there's, especially with a pragmatic coach, not that it's not like you're issue at all, but from a neutral perspective, a pragmatic coach like Carsley might give someone like Rico Henry a chance, because he fits the square pegs and square holes and all that. But yeah, obviously last season was difficult. You were comfortable in the end. I don't remember exactly, but I remember you being a good 10-15 points clear relegation in the end.
Yeah, it was nine in the end.
Was it 9? Okay, yeah, so not quite as much as I thought, but it was okay. It was
too close for comfort once or twice, but we always felt there'd be enough in the tank, towards the end, and that's the way it proved. We were always a couple of wins away from really pulling away, and it was fine.
So the start of the season, obviously last time out, 3-1 victory against Southampton. Brian Mbeumo with 2 and Wisa with 1 as well. They've been excellent, haven't they, at the start of the season for you? I really rate Mbeumo in particular. I think he's a fantastic footballer, and he feels like he can play at a very high level very easily. But over those aside, maybe not those aside, who's been the standout for you so far in the early stages of the season?
Yeah, well, those two do stand out. I mean, Nathan Collins at the back, he's one of our defenders. He had a rocky one or two games last year. It's been great to see him start in solid form. Matty Jensen in the middle. He's had a decent start to the season, but yeah, it's all about Bryan Mbeumo and Wissa really. It's the goals that we need. They've made the difference. They started last season really well as well, and they've done the same. As you rightly said, Bryan Mbeumo, I'm sure, can play at a very, very high level.
Yeah,
Doesn't actually give me any indication that he's pushing for a move. I think he's very happy where he is, but Mo Salah leaves Liverpool at the end of this season. He's a natural replacement for him.
Yeah,
Liverpool have looked at him. I know that for a fact, and there's others, but
it's very Liverpool, isn't it? That potential. I know
it really is.
It feels like Mane of a few years back, and like when they signed from with all due respect to a mid-table kind of side like Brentford are, it's just I mean, I hope you keep hold of him because I feel like he's gonna have a great season if this year, maybe even the year after if you keep hold of him. What about the style of football this season? Is it pretty much as per usual for Brentford, or have you noticed any changes so far? And I guess also that would lead in how you're expecting Brentford to line up against City.
Yeah. As an indication, I was surprised that we went 4 at the back against Liverpool up at Anfield. That was a fixture that it screams out Brentford play 5 at the back and try and park the bus. Though we didn't do that. We actually went at Liverpool in our moments. We absorbed a lot. And we did hit them. Unfortunately, it was one when we actually committed ourselves to a corner, which you would. They got a lucky ricochet and broke away and scored the open. So I'm not suggesting that we're going to do that at the Etihad. It's you see this week in, week out. It's a game that teams go to your place and they just want to avoid getting humiliated. So I do expect us to play 5 at the back, but Thomas this season has been a little bit more quicker passing, a bit more like we were when we came up from the Championship. A lot really intricate little moves, working space, believing in our own ability rather than just taking 1 or 2 chances. We'll see. It's really early days, but certainly in pre-season as well, we actually seem to be a little bit more progressive and confident, and that might be the case up at your place. So we'll know with an hour and 10 to go, but I assume it's going to be 5 at the back.
Of course, and I think Pep will take you very seriously because Pep has been burned by Brentford before, and he knows that. And the unfortunate thing with Brentford is that Pep never forgets, so he'll be taking this game very, very seriously. And I can't wait for it, actually. I think it's going to be really interesting. I don't think there's any guarantees that you're going to run away with anything like that. I never do. I think Brentford are the kind of team, especially with the pace of those two on the counter-attack, going forward. City had been susceptible to teams that are good with pacey, tricky, nimble wingers and strikers, and and obviously a couple of years back you got us in the counter a couple of times with Ivan Toney there as well. But you still have elements of that ability, in terms of even without Toney there to get out. So I'm not taking it for granted at all. Where's your head at for this season? What are you expecting? What are you hoping for, or maybe what are you expecting from Brentford in terms of progress this season in the league and maybe in the cups?
I'd like to go long in one of the cup competitions. I won't lose sleep if we don't, but it would be quite nice as a tick box to get to a final, but not at the expense of of our survival. Pushing for Europe again would be a bit of a dream, but careful what you wish for. I'm not quite sure that our squad is at that kind of we're not ready for all those extra fixtures. Top half of the table, I'd say, without any scares, and a couple of memorable away wins. So that would be really good because although there's not been a massive upheaval in like the whole of the squad, there's certainly recognisable players there still from Championship days even. There's players to integrate. There's players that are important players coming back from injuries. Hickey's, and we're not going to see him again all season. He's had a breakdown of his rehab from his hamstring, so he was out all last season, and he's going to be out all this season. So
really?
So it's one of them. I think it really is about building for next season. I think, but I think if we could have finished in the top half, that would be a really good season for us.
Yeah, agree, and indeed, and obviously, I hate to do this because it's weird because I do these obviously previews, and I know at City, I support City, and it's very hard to predict anything against City in general. But if I could ask you for a head prediction and a heart prediction for this game, what would you go? So, what's your head tell you? Yeah, and yeah, heart tell you.
My head's clearly going to say it's going to be a fairly comfortable home win. My heart says we can get a draw. I'm not sure lightning strikes twice for us there and we win. The time that we did, we had Raya in goal, we had Rico Henry that bombed out, and he was the one. It was his pace that created the opportunity really, and Ivan Toney was at a very high level of form at the time, and it was in the last minute, and you didn't get a chance to come back. So a lot of stars aligned then. We're not at that point at the moment. So yeah, I'd share a point with you right now, mate.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. I don't think it's impossible. I generally don't. Obviously, I'm not expecting. I presume City will win because the form we're in right now is good, but I don't think there's any guarantee at all. I really don't. And I think at this stage of the season, we are culpable of conceding soft chances. We were last season too, despite how good we are going forward. So we'll see. Dave, thank you so much, mate. Only a short video chat about Brentford. I've really enjoyed that. Where can people check you out? It's 𝙏𝙬𝙨𝙩𝙖𝙬 podcast, right? Brentford one.
Yeah, we're at 𝙏𝙬𝙨𝙩𝙚.com, 𝙏𝙬𝙨𝙩𝙚 on Twitter, and all the links to our podcast. So I think it's 1,078 we're up to now on our podcasts, and we're now 40 odd years of producing the fanzine. So yeah,
really amazing. Yeah, you guys the fanzine as well. Yeah,
1990 was edition 1 of the inky version of the fanzine. So
that's amazing. It was called the same name as well.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Well, I was 5 then, so and I definitely wasn't buying that. But that I love that dedication. Obviously, guys, there'll be links in the description below and all the usual stuff, so go and check them out. I love that dedication. I've been doing this for about 10 years now, nowhere near the same amount of time.
But an absolute pup.
Yeah. Just a baby. Well, I turned 39 a couple of days ago, so you made me feel young again. Thank you very much. Guys, thanks very much for watching this. Of course, check out 𝙏𝙬𝙨𝙯𝙬, the podcast below, and of course the fanzine if you want to go to 𝙏𝙬𝙨𝙯𝙬.com. Let me know your predictions in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and there'll be a match preview coming up tomorrow, looking more at Man City perspective on the channel as usual. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the international break. In a bit, bye-bye.